Ladies and gentlemen, time is the most valuable thing we have. It doesn't come with a reset button or a refill. Every second that slips by is gone forever. Yet so many of us treat time like it's some endless resource. Let me tell you something. It's not. The clock is ticking, and it's asking you one question. What are you doing with the time you've been given? We live in an age of distractions. Notifications pinging every second. People scrolling for hours, getting lost in things that don't add value to their lives. Let me ask you this. How much closer does scrolling get you to your dreams? How many times have you said, "I'll start tomorrow," only to watch tomorrow turn into next week, next year, and then never? Go. Dreams don't work unless you do. And let's be honest. Waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect circumstances, or someone to push you forward is just another way of wasting your time. Fear of failure? Guess what? Failure's inevitable. But every failure is a lesson. Every setback is an opportunity to grow stronger, smarter, and sharper. Sitting idle isn't playing it safe. It's playing yourself. Stop blaming. Start owning. Your time is your responsibility. Nobody else is going to come and manage it for you. You've got to decide. Are you going to spend it building your future or wasting it on things that don't matter? Don't wait for motivation to knock on your door. Discipline yourself to answer the call every day. Let me leave you with this. You can't buy time, you can't borrow it, and you can't save it for later. What you can do is use it wisely. The question is, are you ready to stop wasting your time and start living the life you are meant to live? The choice is yours. Make it count. Time is the most valuable resource we have, yet it's the one we often take for granted. Think about it. Money can be earned, lost, and regained. Opportunities may knock again, and mistakes can often be corrected. But time is a one-way ticket. Once a second has passed, it's gone. You can't rewind it, pause it, or store it for later. Yet so many of us act like we have all the time in the world, as though it's some limitless bank account we can keep withdrawing from without consequence. The truth is, time is precious, and it's not infinite. How often do we squander our time on things that don't matter? How much of our day is consumed by distractions that add no value to our lives? Hours on social media, endlessly scrolling through the lives of others. Binge-watching TV shows we've already seen. Sitting in idleness, waiting for motivation to magically appear. And then we wonder why we're not where we want to be. We complain about not having enough hours in the day while wasting the ones we do have. If we treated time the way we treat money, would we spend it so carelessly? If you had $86,400 every day to spend, knowing it would disappear at midnight no matter what you did, wouldn't you be careful with how you used it? Well, that's exactly what time is. 8, 6, 4, 0, 0 seconds every single day, disappearing whether we use them wisely or waste them. Secondly, whether we use them wisely or waste them. The reality is that life is short, and we don't get to decide how much time we have. What we do get to decide is how we use the time we're given. Every moment you spend in action, in growth, in pursuit of something meaningful, you're building a life of purpose. Every moment wasted, you're letting opportunities slip through your fingers. And while some might say that leisure is not a waste of time, there's a big difference between intentional rest and mindless procrastination. Rest renews you. Distraction drains you. Let's not forget that time is also deeply personal. No one else will ever value your time as much as you should. People will ask for it, demand it, and sometimes even steal it without a second thought. That's why you need to guard it fiercely. Say no to things that don't align with your goals. Don't let someone else's urgency or drama become your emergency. Your time belongs to you, and you need to decide whether what you're spending it on is truly worth it. Another thing about time is that it doesn't care about excuses. It won't wait for you to be ready. It won't pause while you hesitate or procrastinate. It just keeps moving, indifferent to whether you're using it wisely or not. That's why the phrase "someday" is so dangerous. We tell ourselves we'll start pursuing our dreams someday. We'll get serious about our goals someday. But someday isn't a day on the calendar. It's an illusion, a lie we tell ourselves to feel better about putting things off. The only time we truly have is now. The present moment is all we can control. And the sooner we understand that, the sooner we can start living intentionally. What makes time even more precious is its unpredictability. None of us knows how much of it we have left. We like to think we have years, even decades, to achieve our goals, to make things right, to live the life we envision. But life doesn't come with guarantees. That's not meant to scare you, it's meant to wake you up. The fragility of time is what makes it beautiful. It's what gives it meaning. Imagine if we lived forever. Would we value our days as much? Would we push ourselves to grow and achieve if we had an eternity to get around to it? The limited nature of time is what gives it its worth. It's the scarcity that makes it priceless. But there's a quote that says, "The bad news is time flies. The good news is you're the pilot. You can't slow down time, but you can choose the direction you're flying in. You can decide whether you're soaring toward your dreams or circling aimlessly, going nowhere. It's all in your hands. You don't need a perfect plan or the ideal circumstances to start making better use of your time. You just need to start. 100% mindset is the key to gaining better use of your time. You just need to start. Stop waiting for tomorrow, because tomorrow might never come. Stop making excuses, because excuses don't stop the clock. Stop telling yourself you'll do it later, because later is a thief. Later steals dreams and opportunities. Later is the enemy of progress. The truth is, how you spend your time is how you spend your life. If you waste your time, you're wasting your life. But if you use your time wisely, if you invest it in growth, in relationships, in your dreams, you're building a life of purpose, fulfillment, and meaning. The choice is yours. Time is precious, and it's not infinite. Make it count. Life is filled with distractions, and they come at us from every direction. They're constant, relentless, and often disguised as harmless entertainment or routine habits. Every beep of a notification, every scroll through a social media feed, every hour spent on meaningless tasks, all of it chips away at the time we could use to build something worthwhile. These distractions are sneaky. They don't announce themselves as time wasters. They let you play the game for longer than you think is possible. They ultimately lead to evasion. They don't announce themselves as time wasters. They creep into our lives subtly, offering a quick fix of dopamine or a momentary escape from reality. But in the grand scheme of things, these distractions don't just steal our time. They rob us of our focus, our energy, and ultimately, our potential. The challenge is that distractions are everywhere. Technology has made it so easy to lose hours without even realizing it. One minute you're checking an email or responding to a message. The next, you're 20 videos deep into a rabbit hole, watching content you didn't even plan to see. And it's not just technology. Gossip, idle chatter, and unnecessary obligations can be just as distracting. These things lure us in with promises of fun, relaxation, or connection, but they rarely deliver anything meaningful. Instead, they leave us drained, frustrated, and further from our goals. In the challenges and struggles of the winter of 2001, the most dangerous part of distractions is their ability to masquerade as productivity. We convince ourselves that replying to every message, attending every meeting, or keeping up with every trend is essential. But is it? How much of what we do each day truly aligns with our long-term goals and values? How often do we mistake being busy for being productive? The world has a way of making everything seem urgent, but not everything that demands your attention deserves it. The world has a way of making everything seem urgent, but not everything that demands your attention deserves it. The ability to differentiate between what's important and what's merely urgent is a skill that can transform your life. The key to overcoming distractions is clarity of purpose. When you have a clear sense of what you want to achieve, it becomes easier to recognize what doesn't serve you. Purpose acts as a filter, helping you decide where to direct your time and energy. Without it, you're like a ship without a destination, drifting wherever the wind takes you. But with purpose, you become intentional. You start to prioritize what truly matters and let go of what doesn't. Purpose gives you the strength to say no to distractions, even when they're tempting. Saying no is hard, especially in a world that thrives on our constant availability. We live in a culture that celebrates hustle and glorifies multitasking. We're told that we should be doing more, achieving more, and saying yes to every opportunity. But doing more isn't the same as doing better. Multitasking doesn't lead to mastery, it leads to mediocrity. To truly excel, you need to focus. Focus isn't about doing everything, it's about doing the right things. It's about channeling your energy into what moves you forward instead of scattering it across 100 distractions. It's not just about what you avoid, it's also about what you choose to embrace. Discipline is the antidote to distraction. Discipline means setting boundaries and sticking to them. It means creating habits that support your goals instead of sabotaging them. It means recognizing that short-term pleasure often comes at the expense of long-term fulfillment. Discipline isn't easy, but it's worth it. It's the price you pay for the life you want. The best part? The more disciplined you become, the less appealing distractions seem. When you're focused on a goal, distractions lose their power. They no longer seem like opportunities for fun, they seem like obstacles in your path. Another way to combat distractions is to surround yourself with the right environment. The people you spend time with, the spaces you occupy, and the routines you follow all influence your ability to stay focused. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity, noise, or chaos, it's harder to maintain clarity. But if you create an environment that supports your goals, whether it's a quiet workspace, a supportive network, or a structured schedule, you set yourself up for success. Your environment shapes your habits, and your habits shape your life. Choose wisely. It's also important to remember that not all distractions are external. Sometimes the biggest distractions come from within. Doubts, fears, and insecurities can pull your attention away from your goals just as much as social media or gossip can. That's why self-awareness is crucial. Pay attention to your thoughts and emotions. When you notice yourself getting distracted, ask yourself why. Are you avoiding a difficult task? Are you afraid of failing? Are you seeking validation or comfort? Understanding the root of your distractions can help you address them more effectively. Ultimately, the fight against distractions is a fight for your time, your focus, and your future. It's about choosing what matters most to you and refusing to let anything else get in the way. Distractions will always be there, tempting you with their shiny allure, but you don't have to give in. You have the power to take control of your time, your energy, and your attention. Stay focused, stay disciplined, and stay true to your purpose, because when you do, you unlock your full potential and create a life that truly matters. Failing to act is failing yourself. That's a truth many of us don't want to face, but deep down we know it's real. We all have dreams, aspirations, and visions of the lives we want to lead. But dreams don't materialize just because we want them to. They require effort, dedication, and most importantly, action. And here's the harsh reality. If you're not acting on your dreams, you're not just standing still, you're moving backward. Time doesn't wait for anyone. Every day you spend hesitating, procrastinating, or doubting yourself is a day lost, a step further from the life you're capable of creating. It's easy to come up with excuses not to act. I'm not ready. The timing isn't right. I need more resources, more knowledge, more support. These excuses might feel valid in the moment, but they're just fear dressed up as reason. The truth is, you'll never feel fully ready. The perfect moment will never arrive. Conditions will rarely be ideal, but none of that matters because action is what creates readiness. Action is what generates momentum. It's not about having all the answers before you start. It's about finding the answers along the way. Fear of failure is one of the biggest reasons people hesitate to act. We're terrified of getting it wrong, of making mistakes, of looking foolish in front of others. But let me tell you something. Failure isn't the enemy. Fear is. Failure is a teacher. Every misstep, every setback, every stumble is an opportunity to learn, to grow, to become better. The only true failure is not trying at all. When you let fear stop you, you're not avoiding failure, you're guaranteeing it. Because you're failing yourself, your dreams, and the potential you have within you. Sometimes we get caught in the trap of overthinking. We analyze every possible outcome, trying to predict every twist and turn until we're paralyzed by indecision. But overthinking is just another form of procrastination. It's a way of convincing ourselves that we're being productive, when in reality, we're just delaying action. Clarity comes from engagement, not from thought. You don't need to see the entire path to take the first step. Start where you are, with what you have, and trust that the next steps will reveal themselves as you move forward. Another common trap is waiting for motivation to strike. We tell ourselves that we'll act when we feel inspired, when the energy is right, when the stars align. But motivation is fleeting. It's unreliable, inconsistent, and often absent when we need it most. Discipline, on the other hand, is dependable. Discipline is the ability to act even when you don't feel like it. It's showing up for yourself day after day, regardless of your mood or circumstances. And here's the irony. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. The more you do, the more motivated you'll feel. Progress fuels momentum, and momentum keeps you moving forward. It's also important to understand that action doesn't have to be perfect. Perfectionism is another excuse in disguise. We tell ourselves that if we can't do something flawlessly, we shouldn't do it at all. But perfection is an illusion. It's a standard that no one can meet, and striving for it only leads to paralysis. What matters is progress, not perfection. Small, consistent actions add up over time. If partners are changing directions in their marriage, what matters if fragments of themselves they leave behind? Every step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goals. The key is to start and keep going. Even when the path isn't clear, even when the results aren't immediate. Accountability plays a big role in taking action. When you set a goal, share it with someone you trust. Let them know what you're working toward and ask them to hold you accountable. This doesn't mean relying on others to push you. It means creating a sense of responsibility for following through. When you know someone is watching, cheering for you, or expecting results, it's harder to back out. But ultimately, the strongest accountability comes from within. You have to want it for yourself. You have to believe that your dreams are worth the effort, the struggle, and the occasional failure. Remember that action doesn't always have to be grand or dramatic. Sometimes, it's the smallest steps that make the biggest difference. Sending an email, making a phone call, writing a single page, or even just showing up can be enough to set things in motion. Action is cumulative. The little things you do each day build on each other, creating momentum that propels you forward. And once you start, you'll find that it's easier to keep going. And once you start, you'll find that it's easier to keep going. The hardest part is always the beginning. Failing to act is failing yourself, because inaction keeps you stuck in the realm of potential. It's safe there, sure, but it's also stagnant. Potential is meaningless without action. It's what you do with your potential that counts. So stop waiting, stop hesitating, and stop letting fear, doubt, or excuses hold you back. Your dreams are waiting for you, but they won't wait forever. Take the first step. Take the leap. Because the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the courage to act. Today, we ask you to drop the illusion. Accountability is the foundation of any meaningful progress. It's easy to blame circumstances, other people, or even the universe for where you are in life. But the truth is, your time is your responsibility. No one else controls it. No one else decides how you spend it. And no one else is going to make the changes you need to make. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you can start taking control of your life. Accountability isn't about perfection. It's about ownership. It's about standing up and saying, this is my life, and I'm in charge of what I do with it. There are two places in this world, the good place and the bad place. There are two places in the world. It's tempting to point fingers when things don't go as planned. I didn't have enough time. People kept interrupting me. I wasn't given the resources I needed. These excuses might make us feel better in the moment, but they don't solve the problem. In fact, they make it worse. Every time you shift the blame onto something or someone else, you're giving away your power. You're telling yourself that you're not in control, that your circumstances define your outcomes. It is your circumstances define your outcomes, but that's not true. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. And it's in that response that your power lies. Taking accountability means being honest with yourself. It means looking at how you're spending your time and asking the hard questions. Am I prioritizing what really matters? Am I putting in the effort required to achieve my goals? Am I taking advantage of the opportunities available to me, or am I letting them pass by? These questions can be uncomfortable, but they're necessary. Growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from confronting the areas where you're falling short and committing to do better. Accountability also requires discipline. It's not enough to set goals or make plans. You have to follow through. That means showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it. It means doing the hard work even when no one is watching. Discipline is what turns intentions into actions and actions into results. It's the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Without it, even the best plans will fail. But with it, even the biggest obstacles can be overcome. Part of accountability is learning to say no. Your time is finite, and every yes you give to something unimportant is a no to something that truly matters. It's easy to get caught up in trying to please everyone, but you can't be everything to everyone and still achieve your own goals. You have to be selective. You have to protect your time and energy like the precious resources they are. That means setting boundaries and sticking to them. It means prioritizing what aligns with your values and letting go of what doesn't. It means understanding that saying no isn't selfish, it's necessary. Another aspect of accountability is embracing failure. Many people avoid taking responsibility because they're afraid of admitting their mistakes. But failure is a natural part of growth. It's how we learn, adapt, and improve. When you take accountability for your failures, you take ownership of the lessons they offer. Instead of seeing failure as a dead end, you start to see it as a stepping stone. It's not about avoiding mistakes. It's about learning from them and using them to propel yourself forward. Accountability means saying, I messed up, and here's what I'm going to do to fix it. It's also important to surround yourself with people who hold you accountable. Accountability doesn't mean you have to do everything alone. In fact, having a support system can make all the difference. Whether it's a mentor, a coach, or a trusted friend, find someone who will challenge you to stay true to your goals. Someone who will call you out when you're making excuses and remind you of what you're capable of. Accountability partners aren't there to do the work for you. They're there to push you to be your best self. At the end of the day, accountability is about taking charge of your life. It's about recognizing that your time is your most valuable asset and treating it as such. It's about refusing to let distractions, excuses, or setbacks derail you from your path. It's about being proactive instead of reactive, intentional instead of aimless. When you take accountability for your time, you stop being a victim of circumstance and start becoming the architect of your future. The architect of your future. This isn't always easy. Taking accountability means facing your shortcomings, owning up to your mistakes, and doing the hard work of change. But the reward is worth it. When you take responsibility for your time, you gain control over your life. You become more focused, more productive, and more fulfilled. You stop drifting through life and start living with purpose. You stop drifting with purpose. And most importantly, you build a sense of confidence and self-respect that comes from knowing you're doing your best with what you have. End quote. No one else is coming to save you or fix your life. The power to create the life you want lies within you, and it starts with taking accountability for how you spend your time. So stop blaming, stop waiting, and start owning. This is your time, your life, and your responsibility. Make it count.